All right, so my name is Dara Smith. I am the Executive Director for Haven House Inc., and I would like to thank you all so much for tuning into today's presentation, informal conversation to bring awareness to domestic violence awareness. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to start with Miss Lakeisha Bridgman, who is with the Gary Public Library. Just want to thank you all so very much for joining us on today. So Lakeisha, if you can take it from here.
Mhm. Okay, thanks, Dara. Hi, everybody. My name is Lakeisha Bridgman, and I'm the Community Engagement and Marketing Coordinator here at Gary Public Library. I just wanted to welcome you today. Thank you for registering and joining for today's conversation. As Ms. Smith said, we are always trying to promote our library and other not-for-profit organizations in our community, and we try to work together and partner with different organizations as well. So when Ms. Smith contacted us, we were thrilled that not only did she want to work with the library, but she wanted to do something virtual as well. So what better time to do a virtual program in? I just wanted to go over maybe like a few things about the Gary Public Library in case maybe you all are not aware or just haven't been in here to see us in a while. So first, I want to start out talking about time. If you don't have a lot of time to come into the library, we have what's called curbside pickup. And it pretty much works the same as if you're going to order groceries from Meijer or, do something, call ahead or go online and order something. So what you do is you go on our website, all the rules are there under services. You're going to basically select your materials, select your books, your DVDs, your music, your magazines, whatever you want to check out. They will run your library card. You'll pull up at the designated time and date, and they'll bring your stuff out to you. Simple as that. You can do this here at our main, which we call the Gary Public Library and Cultural Center here on 220 West 5th Avenue. Curbside is also available at our Miller location, which is on Lake Street, and our Glen Park location, which is on 30th Broadway. They're not open to the public right now, so you can only do curbside there. But with curbside, you can also get fax documents done, and I think copies made. And you can also get prints. You can print from your phone or your computer, have your stuff sent to the library, and they can print it out for you and bring it to your car as well. If you have a little more time, say like 30 minutes, and you want to come down to the main location, you can come into the north entrance, which is the parking lot side. There's a computer station right inside the building. You can check your email, you can do some scans, you can bring your thumb drive and print out materials. I believe it's up to 10 copies per visit, and you could do that for like 30 minutes. If you have even more time, if you have like an hour to spend with us, we want you to come inside, sign in at the circulation desk. You can use a computer in our 40 computer lab. You can sit down and read books, magazines. Like I said, check out music, DVDs. You can go visit our wonderful children's area, which is run by our children's librarian, Mrs. Lee. You can ask a reference question, and there's just so much to do in the library. Now, because we are kind of scaled down because of COVID, unfortunately, you cannot visit our Indiana room or our government documents room or our art gallery, which are all located on the second floor. But those reference librarians can still get those materials for you. And as far as the gallery goes, you can go on our website to see our virtual exhibit. So anything that's upstairs right now, you can just log on. You can just go to our website and it's you can see a virtual tour of the gallery space. Let's see what else. Anything that's going on will be on our website, on our cover, like if the hours change or anything. The most updated information is going to be on our Facebook page, Instagram, and Twitter, which our handle is GPL 1908, because that's the year that the library opened in 1908. So anything you can do, any up-to-date information, I recommend going to our social media first. You can always check guidelines and events and more things like that on our actual library page. Any questions about the Gary Public Library?
All right.
Well, okay. Yeah. Thank you, Dara.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bridgman, and thank you so much for those that have tuned in today. First of all, I want to make sure that I once again acknowledge the Gary Public Library. Thank you so much for the opportunity to collaborate and partner with you all today. And I'm very excited. I believe that we're going to shed some light on some information and bring some awareness. I also want to encourage you all. This is very informal, just a conversation, and I want to encourage you all to engage with us. So there will be a section at the end for questions and answers. And so I just want, if there's anything that resonates with you as we go on with this discussion, please make sure that you put your comments in the box. And also, I do like to say this as well. I do appreciate you all logging in today because you could have been anywhere. And I always like to say that your time is one of your most valuable resources, and you could have been anywhere, but you joined us today. And I believe Miss Ebony has just logged in with us. Let me see if this is Ebony on. Ebony, are you on with us? I think I just saw her log in. Okay, Ebony, but if you've logged in, please let us know. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and just give you just a brief overview of Haven House, Inc. So as I said, my name is Dara Smith, and I am the Executive Director for Haven House, Inc. And you can reach us. We have a 24-hour emergency hotline. We're also 24-hour shelter. We can be reached at our main line at 219-931-2090. Once again, that number is 219-931-2090. You can also find us on Facebook at Haven House NWI. Additionally, we do have a website, which is havenhousenwi.org. Just to give you just a brief general of services that we do offer, as I mentioned, we have the crisis hotline. We provide safety planning. Additionally, we provide crisis intervention, advocacy, residential services. Oh, wonderful. I see that Ebony is logging in. So we provide the residential services. So that consists of anything that you need for everyday living essentials. Our non-residential services, we provide order of protection, as well as other non-residential services as well. And just like we are here today, we provide community outreach services. So just as a whole, that is some of the many services that we provide at Haven House, Inc. So if you know of anybody that is experiencing domestic violence, anyone that is looking to get some information, please, I want to encourage you to give them our information. So Ebony, are you logged in? I see you're with us, but can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome,
Yeah.
wonderful, right on time. So you are definitely in for a treat. So that concludes my portion of it. Now we're going to do things just a little bit different. So this is not going to be your standard presentation. We're going to be doing more like a interview style. So I'm going to actually be asking Ebony questions, and then she's going to be responding to them. So as I mentioned before, if you have any questions at the end, please feel free to engage in conversation with us. So I have the great honor of interviewing Ebony Jackson. Miss Ebony is one of our crisis workers. And just to kind of give you just a little bit backstory of how all of this came about, someone approached me and they mentioned the Gary Public Library, and they told me that they were looking to do a forum. They were looking to do a virtual event, and they referred me to the Gary Public Library, and then I connected with Miss Bridgman. So in the process of us talking, I had talked to Miss Ebony and shared with her about this community outreach opportunity. And one thing that I will have to say about working with Miss Ebony is she is a pearl of wisdom. And so I told her about it, and I'm always looking for ways to pull on her and looking for ways for her to share all of this wisdom that she has. So when I told her about it, I was so excited that she graciously said yes. So I have to tell you all, you are definitely in for a treat. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go right into the questions at hand. So the first thing is, when we were planning this event and we were talking about it, Miss Ebony came up with the idea, and she came up with the title, "The Scars You Cannot See Are the Hardest to Heal." So, and when she immediately told me about this topic, I said, yes, that's it. I was so intrigued. And so, Miss Ebony, tell us, how did you come up with that name?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and Ms. Lakeisha for having us. And thank you, Ms.
Thank
Dora, for
you.
introduction. I came up with this topic because of me dealing with um, my own personal abuse as a child, and also being in the field for 10 years. And most of the abuse that we would think of physical abuse, but you never talk about the emotional abuse that we see that comes through the shelter. And the majority of that comes through the shelter is emotional abuse, and they are the hardest to heal.
Wow, that is so true. So that's a good segue into this next question, which you've already answered for us, but I just want you to elaborate a little bit more on it. So here's the question. Do you consider emotional abuse a form of domestic violence? Yes or no? And if so, why?
Yes, I do consider it as a form of a domestic violence, because now as the generation changes, you see less physical and more emotional. And what I mean about emotional is more like the betrayed, the let down, the making you feel guilty of something you have not done, the cheating, constantly accusing you of things that you really, you haven't even done. It ain't even on your behalf. And that all ties in with the emotional of abuse.
Okay. So domestic violence is a pattern of behavior used to establish power control over another person through fear and intimidation. Is there anything more that you want to say about that, Miss Ebony?
And domestic violence is a pattern, and the pattern starts at childbirth. Some does and some does not, but majority of abuse do starts at the level of a habit of learning these patterns. So yes, it is a form of fear and intimidation towards the person that's being abused.
And just to add to that, I remember having a conversation with someone, and you know how we have those special moments that impact us, that change us, in those conversations that we have with our residents and just people that we come in contact in general. And I remember I had this conversation with this lady that was going through some challenges in her life, and she said to me, she said, the seed of dysfunction was planted in me. So that adds to your comment about it starting at birth as a child, because that's exactly what happened to her. All of those the challenges and hardships and things that she was having, she attributed that to that seed of dysfunction that was planted inside of her. So let's talk about the causes. Why do people abuse their partner? Question number one. And abusers grow up experiencing violence. So tell us your
Why
thoughts
do
on that,
people
Miss
abuse?
Ebony.
Why do people abuse their partners? Most abuser, either they have been abused or they become the abuser. Is in, like I said, once again, majority of it comes from where they have learned this, they have seen it, coming up as a child, and they you know they develop it. So in other words, it's like they don't want to be the abuser because what they have seen during their life coming up. So either they become the abuser or the one that's being abused.
Absolutely. I agree with that. So let's talk about types of abuse, because I think in a lot of instances, there's this misconception that domestic violence is only one thing, but there are so many different forms of abuse, such as abuse
Yeah.
can be physical, it can be sexual, psychological, emotional, and economic. So, can you elaborate more on that for us, Miss Ebony?
As, like for the physical is more like a hitting, shaking, biting, kicking, you know, sometimes it also can cause death, physical can. Um, if psychological is like a form of emotional. They both go hand in hand. It also is a part of abuse, of a mental abuse too. All that goes together. Sexual behavior is forced upon either a woman, a child, or a man. That's you being forced to have sex. Um, Economical is comes from where they financially they want to be in control of your money or how you spend money and everything like that. Emotional, and emotional comes in where the person wants to be control of the person, using emotional, criticizing, embarrassing, shame, blaming, otherwise manipulating the person. These are emotional abuse.
And I just want to add to that too. When we talk about the different forms of abuse, also in addition to that, and we gave the definition of what domestic violence is, one thing I also want to add is it does not just encompass an intimate partner. Domestic violence could be anyone in that household. So it could be a sibling, it could be a parent. So I just wanted to also make note of that as we talked about the different types of abuse. So now let's talk about what are 10, because in addition to us providing this, in addition to us providing awareness, we want to talk about prevention as well, right? So what are 10, tell us, what are 10 warning signs, Miss Ebony, of abuse?
Oh, Miss Dora, I can give more than 10, but you asked for 10. So I'm gonna give you 10.
Okay,
Low
just for sake of
self-esteem.
today, just 10.
Loss of interest. That means in daily activities. You no longer want to, do your daily activities that you normally would do. Bruises, financial abuse. Um, some people also result into drugs and alcohol. Stalking, bullying, isolation. Isolation is one. Being distant, talking about being attempted to do suicide is also a part, warning signs of being abused.
Mhm. 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 Okay. So a statistic I want to share with you all, and this was from the projectsanctuary.org in case you all want to look it up, but it says that 1 in 7 women and 1 in 18 men have experienced stalking, victimization during their lifetime, in which they felt very fearful or believed that they or someone close to them would be harmed or killed. So I want to just park there for a moment. And when we talk about the differences in the numbers, 1 in 7 women and 1 in 18 men. That's a huge gap. So Miss Ebony, if you could please just kind of speak to that for us.
That is a huge gap, Miss Dara. Most men do not report about abuse. They are maybe ashamed to let people know they're being abused. As far as women are now speaking out about abuse. They don't have no problems telling what they're going through and seeking help, and that's why the numbers are so high.
I agree with that. Extreme jealousy. Domestic violence is very common in our society. True or false?
True,
Why
true,
do you
and
say true?
I say true because in society now, it doesn't matter where abuse happening now. Back in the day when you was coming up, when I was coming up, you didn't know that your mom or your dad was going in any type of abuse because it wasn't talked about. Now it's a society thing because it's being shown in the grocery stores. You know, neighbors could be outside going through abuse. It could be at the school. It could be anywhere. So yes, it is very common in our society.
Mhm. Impact. Who does domestic violence impact?
I'm gonna say it impacts everyone that involves. That either means that either you are being abused or not being abused. I mean, it doesn't have a face at all. It
Mhm.
really doesn't. Anybody can be affected to the domestic.
I agree. And I remember someone, I love that you said that it doesn't have a face. So domestic violence is not based on it's not based on your race, it's not based on your economic status. Domestic violence can affect anybody. And when you talked about everybody, I think that is so true because how many people have you know of someone? I think the majority of us that's tuned in, if we haven't experienced it directly, we know of someone that has experienced domestic violence. And it does, even if you're not at the forefront of it, if you're not directly involved in some shape, form, or fashion, it is going to affect you because it could be your loved one, someone you care about, and to see them experiencing that, it will affect you. So the effects, let's talk about that. Eventually, jealous people feel so overwhelmed by their emotions and insecurities that they will begin to exert control over their partners, being paranoid. So let's talk about that. Share your share your thoughts with us on that, Miss Ebony.
Oh, that is so true, Miss Dara. Because they so paranoid to where they're scared that you're gonna either leave them or either you're gonna turn on, you're gonna get so much strength into yourself that you're gonna be the one to do the abuse. Not to say abuse, but not tolerate it anymore. So that's why it does has an effect on it.
Okay. And then, so we talked about the different forms of abuse earlier. And so let's talk a little bit about more on physical versus emotional. Emotional scars, I thought this was so powerful when you said this, Miss Ebony. Emotional scars don't always go away. And why is that?
It's just like a how can I say a brain trauma. You know how you know how people get brain trauma and it some can get come from it, some cannot. And it's just like emotional. It's like a trauma. It's like a detachment result. You know, you can heal from it. You know, if you work on it, but some people does not heal from it, and that's why it's a hard thing to heal. It's really hard to deal and to detach from it. So therefore, yeah, Miss Dari, it is hard to. It never leaves. It never leaves.
Okay. So I just want to wrap things up on the prevention piece. And so when it comes to being for prevention wise, be assertive and leave if you feel uncomfortable. And I know we were having a conversation about that. And sometimes we know that it's not as easy for someone in a domestic violence situation to leave. And there could be tons of reasons why they don't leave. It could be they love the person, and that could be the reason they don't want to leave. It could be fear for their life. It could be the children. It could be an economic situation. There's so many reasons. But talk to us about ways for somebody that is uncomfortable and they are ready to leave. What are some ways in which they can prepare?
You know, they can build a supportive network. You know, number one, you have to stop blaming yourself, and that's why a lot of people are uncomfortable because they constantly blame themselves or take the blame of the abuser, in which is not you, it's the abuser's fault. So therefore, you have to reach out to like us as out the Haven House, and other shelters, domestic violence shelters, for support. Find support anywhere that you can.
Wonderful. Well, I'm going to wrap this up with just two more bullet points, and I know that was pretty much you talked about those. But if there's anything else that you want to add, and I know for sake of time, because I know you have to hop off, so and I'll just leave the last few minutes or so for wrap up, and then if there's any questions, any comments, we can engage in just a brief conversation. But one of the things, a couple things that we do at the shelter, whether it is a residential or a non-residential service, is we provide safety planning. And within that safety planning, we also recommend or suggest if there's people, family members or friends that you know of, that you can alert them as another safety net or support system. We talk about that as well. Can you elaborate just a little bit for us on that process that we share with our not just our residents but callers for safety planning?
Safety planning, we always tell callers and clients, when you're in a situation like that, make sure that you have a good support team. That's number one. Number two, make sure that all your personal documents that you can stash away either in your home somewhere or at a neighbor's or a family or friends that you trust. Also, keep our number on handy as far as shelter wise, and you need to get away. Plan your getaway by getting an overnight bag, just enough for a week's worth of clothing. We always tell them these type of things, as we ask for safety planning for when it's time you have made that decision to decide to leave.
Mhm. Well, Miss Ebony, I know that you have to jump off. So at any point, if you have to, jump off, no problem. We understand. So those that are tuned in, I want to thank you so much for your time and your attention. Once again, I would like to thank the Gary Public Library for the opportunity to collaborate and partner with you all to bring domestic violence awareness and talk about prevention as well. Miss Ebony, as always, I thank you so very much for your yes. I thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your insight with us on today. We're going to take a moment. I don't see any comments. If you have any comments or you have any questions, now is the time to ask. The main thing is we wanted to just get the information out there that there are services out there as well. And as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, you can reach us at 219-931-2090. Once again, that number is 219-931-2090. We provide 24 hours crisis hotline. So if you know of anybody that is in need of our services, as I mentioned, we do referrals, we do advocacy. So we are a resource in the community that is here to help. We're always looking for additional opportunities to collaborate and partner with other organizations as well, because we know that it's a team, it's a group effort, it's a community effort, and we know that we need each other, that we cannot do this alone. So I don't see any other questions here. Do we have any openings? So yes, we're located in Northwest Indiana. Also, do we have any openings for new clients? That is a very good question. So if you or you know someone that is seeking shelter, they would just need to contact the shelter 219-931-2090. A crisis worker will be available to assist them. We would do a pending intake, and then from there, they would assist them if we have space available, or they would receive a referral out to another shelter. So if there are no other questions, please make sure that you put your comments in the box. If there was anything that maybe you heard from the first time that you didn't know about, we would love to get your feedback. We'd love to hear your comments. So if there's no other questions, Ms. Bridgman, was there anything that you would like to say in closing?
Well, I wanted to ask, I know when we spoke before, we talked about donations, and then I thought about it, and if you could just speak briefly on not even just monetary, but are there other types of donations that you all take, clothing,
yeah.
diapers, or things like that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So yes, in addition to the monetary donations, we've done in-kind donations where someone is providing a service for us. We do at this time. I know we're pretty stocked up when it comes to toiletries and things of that nature,
Okay.
but we've had variety. It's just basically if whatever pulls at your heartstrings that you would be interested in donating. Our house manager, Latanya Bright, she heads that up. So you would just, anyone that's interested in making a donation, they would just contact the shelter and speak with her directly. She heads that up. So if there's anything particular, we have taken diapers. We've taken just a variety of just essential daily needs for the shelter, but she's the go-to person because then whatever you have ideas of donating, you would just check with her and then she could let you know if those are items that maybe we have we're fully stocked on, but we may need other items. But I can tell you items such as like tissue paper, paper towels, cleaning products, that's masks. Those are things that we're constantly taking. We are
Okay.
always in need of those particular items.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Those are good questions.
Mhm.
Okay, so without any more, I don't see any more questions. You can also reach us at our email, havenhousedvs@aol.com. Once again, that email address is havenhousedvs@aol.com. And just in case you need to get a pencil and paper and write this down, I'm going to give you our number once again. It's 219-931-2090, 219-931-2090. So my name is Dara Smith. I'm the Executive Director for Haven House, Inc. Once again, I would like to give my most grateful thanks to the Gary Public Library, the entire staff, the entire team for the opportunity to partner and collaborate with you all. And I look forward to working with you all again in the near future. So thank you all so much.
Us as
for your
well.
time. Yes, absolutely. So thank you all so much for your time and attention and joining us. We will have this posted on our Facebook page, Haven House NWI. And so please feel free to like us on Facebook and also to share this, because one of the things I also like to say is you never know who may need this information. And we are a great resource. We're here for the community and we're out there. So we just want to get the word out and help as many people as we can. All right. So without anything else, thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I wish you a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye.